you and I alone.
In 2000, this teen pop duo was bottled off stage during that year's Reading Festival. They knew that their music was annoying to a lot of people. They and their PR had probably foreseen the absolute backlash that would have greeted them upon their emergence on stage, and most of all, they were pretty much asking for it, coming to the crowd wearing shirts that said "Who the F is Eminem?" At the end of their rowdy performance of UGLY, I can only assume to the overwhelmingly positive acclaim of the audience, Daphne yelled in response to the many edible projectiles pelted at them, I guess it didn't help that they were slotted between performances by Slipknot and Rage Against the Machine, who apparently confronted the two backstage in awe of their bravery to keep performing through the chaotic onslaught. There is no doubt that this kind of incident would be very taxing for many. For any artist on any level of polarizing reception, it would feel a bit rubbish. What amazes me is how on the chin they seem to take it, or at least in the public eye. It was too clear from both their music and behavior at the Reading Festival that they didn't feel the need to take it all too seriously, and for a teen pop group, this is rather refreshing. I can only imagine the horrific pressure that would be put on you as a child. Granted, it's easy to see why many had a strong distaste to their chipmunk voices, juvenile schoolyard bully insults, awful cases of stereotyping, and bubblegum approach to the Alice Cooper song School's Out. In retrospect, no longer being the kid horrifically annoyed by hearing other kids chant the chorus of UGLY in the playground, it is just too silly. They sing about playing country music in Memphis. Memphis. Not Nashville. Memphis. Don't even get me started on the song I Love You Sushi. It was as if they, and whichever manager was leading them down the steps of the dwindling staircase of public image turmoil, were practically begging to be given scrutiny. Don't know how much of it warranted being bottled though. I cannot imagine any other means of pissing off a metalhead than to knock out a cover of a classic song in the genre, have it gain airplay, and then find yourself a spot at a festival lineup in between two prominent metal and hardcore music acts. It makes sense that due to all the backlash and general hatred towards their music, a hilariously irritating appearance on Nevermind the Buzzcocks didn't help.
You're gonna have to do a dramatic walk-off now.
But don't be dramatic, just go.
The duo, their website and management label dissolved, and their brief, brittle place in pop music, if it was even there in the first place, was left deservingly in the past. You almost feel a little bit sorry for them as they were thrust into the spotlight at such a young age. At the same time though, it is profoundly clear as to why Daphne and Celeste were detested so much during their prime, if one could call it such. But there is something about their attitudes beyond their music that leaves me rolling with laughter every single time. But goodness me, their music is still really bloody annoying. Fast forward to 2018 and Daphne and Celeste are here to save the world. I didn't expect a comeback in the slightest, let alone one produced by Max Tundra, whose vibrant and synthetic approach to embracing pop tropes is nearly a precursor to that of PC music, although he's probably heard that comparison a million times. I wasn't really upset that they came back, to be honest. I was more upset that I really enjoyed the album. It has me so gobsmacked that I honestly don't even know where to start. Not only does Max Tundra's Bitpop production make this sound like you've been sucked into a retro-themed indie game of sorts, with Daphne and Celeste being your tutorial characters giving you instructions on how to play, given their weirdly robotic deliveries on tracks like Save the World and Sunny Day. And despite how stiff a lot of these songs may sound, especially in terms of their vocal deliveries, there's almost an appeal to that. Aside from a lot of these songs being extremely well written lyrically, and just in terms of general catchiness, the sound is something that I dig lots. Chiptune synthesizers blaring and bleeping, these songs pop with so much colour, and most of all, it doesn't seem like Daphne and Celeste are trying to annoy you as much as serenade you in a strangely magical, kitschy kind of way. Also, this album is unbelievable. Not only is the last track miraculously and unbelievably a Captain Beefheart cover of all things, one that ends up turning the dissonant experimental rock jam into something that sounds like music out of a commercial or level 2 of Jazz Jackrabbit, but lyrically this thing is like really smart. BB is a diss track to Ed Sheeran, no doubt, with its intro.
What the? Again? This is the one I was telling you about. I know, it's on like every 15 minutes.
And its references to a basic busker on the radio and an exercise in mediocrity, which shouldn't actually be a very difficult connection to make. Said track, BB, also gives rather thoughtful, even if playful shots at heteronormativity, along with the lead single You and I Alone hosting a Twin Peaks reference. Daphne and Celeste are the truest of woke pop. On Golden Doldrum, the instrumental is in reverse, Alarms begins with staccato harmonized vocal samples akin to Laurie Anderson, and I'm still trying to even figure out what's going on Whatever Happened to Yazz. Forget what happened to Yazz, What's happening to this song? What this Daphne and Celeste comeback album succeeds at, that's a phrase I never thought I'd be saying, for all its kitsch and irony and satire, is actually just being really entertaining regardless of what's going on. It certainly isn't ever boring, at least not to me, and I'd like to think that even through its messier and more underproduced moments, it's still making me laugh like an utter fool. So imagine what it's going to do to me during its genuinely amazing parts. Now, this album isn't perfect. I certainly find the stiffness of the performances a little restricting. Several songs feel a little underproduced in areas, especially with Song for a Succulent being a piano ballad sounding like its instrumental is based on a MIDI export from Sibelius. And there's a washed out quality to Daphne and Celeste's vocals on all these songs that makes them sound distractingly synthetic, just a little bit tinny. The problem there is how the vocals themselves sound on a tonality level. Tonality. I know so much about music. Otherwise, amazingly, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm giving this a light to decent 7 out of 10.